And welcome back again to How Was the Race? This is Miguel, and I'm on here today with Jill and Dan, two friends of mine. I've ran with them several times. Dan and I, we've ran together at Whiskey Daddle in Peoria, Illinois, which is no longer a race. And then we also ran together in Derby Marathon in Louisville, Kentucky. Jill and I have ran together in Whiskey Daddle, City of Lakes in Minnesota, uh, Derby, Monumental, Indianapolis, Go St. Louis, Hot Chocolate, Tulsa. I mean, there's quite a resume that we've ran together. And the Tennessee Smoky Mountain Vacation races, which that
Nice.
race went south for me, but hey, sometimes that happens. Dan has a experience with running. He's ran roughly 20 or plus half marathons and about five or so full marathons. He's coming in, but he also has an extensive history with cycling. He does criteriums, I believe it's pronounced,
Hmm.
crits for
Yep.
short. And then Jill, she's came in. I know she has a pedigree with many marathons and half marathons. I would put both of them. They are both in the veteran category with having more than 10 races, but less than 100 formal halves and fulls. Today, oh, are we over 100 halves and fulls, Jill?
No, I don't.
Nah, she's probably getting close. I don't think
I'm
she's
getting
there quite
close.
yet.
Okay. Today's featured, today's we will be talking about the Eugene Marathon half marathon in Eugene, Oregon. This is an April race, fairly flat, but a few hills involved. Not exactly skateboard flat. And the featured brewery today is going to be Nasaki Brewery. I we were speaking about this before recording, and I mispronounce the name every time. What is the brewery again, there, Dan?
I believe it is Ninkasi is how they pronounced it.
Okay, Ninkasi Brewery. Ground Control is the beer. Ground Control. It's a rich imperial stout with Oregon hazelnuts, cocoa nibs, and fermented with an ale yeast. It's coming in with a nice 10% ABV and a fairly hoppy 80 IBUs, fairly high for a stout, an imperial or double stout. So let's get into the race. Dan, Jill, I don't know who wants to fill this one first, but how did you come about hearing about this race?
Like I said, we have a friend. He's done his 50 states already, and he was trying to complete his sub 4 hour 50 states. And his name happens to be Eugene, so he had this pegged as his 50th state in his sub four quest,
And 100th overall
100th overall.
marathon.
So he kind of set up a whole thing. We took a whole group of people from one of our local or several local running groups, and we all kind of met up there and did the race and kind of were there to cheer him on. The genesis of the whole thing.
Oh, okay. That's a nice thing being able to be there for somebody's 50th state and 100th. I'd imagine the coordination for him would be kind of difficult to make both of those happen together. I
Yes.
know.
Oh,
Then how was how was the registration process? Do you recall if it was one of the major? There's Athlinks. There's Get Signed Up. There's a few, three or four majors. Was this handled by one of those or in house? Do you remember?
It was an in-house registration.
Was that difficult to navigate or a fairly simple
No,
process?
it's fairly simple. I actually was pacing the full marathon there, but I register myself and Dan. He doesn't normally register himself, so I just sign him up and say we're going.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. That's nice. Did you get between the registration and when I think this will go more towards Dan because typically with the Pacers, we typically don't sign up as early as most runners typically would sign up. So Dan, do you recall getting many emails leading up to this race, or were they sparse? How did that process work?
Yeah, from what I remember, I might be conflating this with Honolulu, but I believe they were pretty consistent. I think they did a lot of like kind of the training emails, like this is so and so's story and stuff like that, and would send them out. So it was pretty like consistent with emails and information coming out. I also don't check my email very regularly, so I'm not the greatest with keeping up with that stuff.
I have that issue. I have two emails, my main email and my junk mail email, and sometimes things accidentally go to my junk mail or even my spam, and I'm like, yeah. So sometimes you have to keep an eye out for those emails just in case. Getting to the race, because this race, you all are located in the Midwest. Getting out to the race, was there? Where was? Do you recall where the expo was held? Was it at like a convention center or a hotel, or what was the expo like?
The expo was in a hotel convention center, and it was maybe 2 miles from the race start.
Yeah, something like that. It was pretty central, located right downtown. It's called the Graduate Hotel, I believe is what it's called. So it was right there in like kind of downtown Eugene area, and then the race starts over at their track and field stadium. So they weren't super close together, but you know, I don't remember if they had a morning of packet pickup or not. I think you had to get it the day before.
Okay. Do you remember if they mailed packets by chance?
They did. They had like a VIP that you could have it sent out to you.
Okay, that's sometimes that's a nice thing, especially when you're traveling for a race. In case your flight gets delayed or something of that nature, it's kind of nice to have the assurance that you do have a your bib already.
Yeah.
Was the expo, was it fairly small, large? Was there many vendors there?
It. I mean, they probably had a good like maybe 30 vendors or so. They had a big selection like Eugene um, merchandise, and then they had it was sponsored by Krusty's pancake mix company or whatnot. So they had a whole station that was just making pancakes nonstop. But it also did include gluten-free options, which was a
Oh,
big bonus. So it was a decent sized expo for a larger event.
Yeah, and they had all their typical, the places that sell you the shoes, like they're every expo. And then the local races or the kind of area races were all there. There was like a distillery they were making a special like little special bottle at least bourbon that they would give samples of that out for the race. I think there's a coffee one, some all the typical kind of typical stuff.
okay. It's nice to be able to go because sometimes you might forget something, or you might forget a handheld, or you need body glide or what have you, and it's nice to know whether or not these things might be available. There's some one one episode I did with the Jim Thorpe Marathon in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania. The expo is held at a coffee shop, and there is basically a person with a stack of bibs and I think a laptop or maybe just their phone, and it's a little more bare bones. However, it's a much different sized race. Do you recall about how large this race was?
Oh man, I don't remember the numbers. I'm sure we could look that up, but it was a big race. I mean,
I think it was like somewhere between 18 and 22,000 between the 5K, half, and full.
18 to 22,000?
I believe so.
Oh wow, that's a fairly large race.
yeah,
Yes.
Oregon. I guess I didn't ever realize this till I got up there. Like Eugene, especially, it's a huge track slash running like town. Like it's their whole thing. Like it's Track Town USA, they call it. That's like their whole thing. When we got to the stadium for the start line, which is their track stadium, I thought we were at the football stadium. That's how big their track stadium is.
Oh
It's
wow.
it's a double two deck stadium for track and field. It's pretty
And
pretty
then they have
crazy.
a complete indoor track below the stadium itself. So in case of bad weather, they still practice indoors the entire
Well,
season.
there's an indoor track season as well.
That's oh wow, that's but then again, I guess I didn't think about it at first. There is Nike nearby, which I assume there's a fair amount of funding from Nike.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Hayward Field is basically just purchased by Nike. So
Oh,
definitely, yeah, one of the nicest stadiums I've seen for it. Well, especially for track, and it's solely for track.
I mean all the gear like at the expo, like at least the event gear, it's all Nike. Everything's Nike up there. It's yeah. I mean, That's their whole
Okay.
deal. Phil Knight, I think, donates tons of money to Oregon athletics. If you know anything about football, college football too, that's the same reason their uniforms are kind of they're known for their kind of crazy uniforms because Nike gets them all that stuff to try out all the time.
I guess it's good to have friends nearby.
Yeah.
So, when was it easy to navigate to find once you entered the expo, be able to figure out where you need to go for like your your shirt, your bib, maybe a bib exchange if you needed that?
Yeah, it wasn't a huge room. It was like it was all kind of in one room, and they had everything posted up high on the wall, so you could see where like the shirts, they were like in the back corner. They had it by which race you were doing, what you were picking up. They had
They had one room that was just bib pickup only, and then the
Okay.
expo was in a separate room.
Oh, okay. That's
So, and they
uh,
kind of funneled you. So you went into your bib pickup and then walked around, and then you had to exit through the expo itself.
oh, okay. Kind of exit through the gift shop.
Yep.
Okay. I was because a lot of times with expos, if it's all in one, it makes sense from a vendor and standpoint and everything of that nature that they want you to to walk through all the vendors. So they put the packet pickup and the shirt pickup and everything you need in the back. That way you you have to walk past and look at the gels and the shoes and the socks and whatnot.
Yeah, it's kind of how this was. Like all the Eugene Marathon merch was in the very back, so you had to go to pass everything and get to that. And the exit was in the front, so you had to kind of, if you wanted to get any of the Eugene stuff, you had to go past all the other vendors to get to that.
Mm, okay. So getting to the race itself, um, was that was that was there a lot of with 18,000 runners there? I'd imagine there would be a large amount of traffic. Was that the case, or did you all? Was there a hotel plenty of hotels nearby to so you could just walk?
Yeah, there was nowhere to park really close by. We walked from our Airbnb. We kind of jogged over a little bit in the morning. Like I said, being a college town, it's all pretty compact. So there's houses and stuff. There's a lot of Airbnbs around. So we had no trouble getting there, but it was kind of nice actually because we walked through the campus and kind of got to see the campus. Um, some people who did park had to drive. They said it wasn't terrible.
Okay. How was the setup? Was assume with that there would be corrals. How was the porta pot situation? Was there extensive lines? Was something you was worried about?
So they actually like their starting line was somewhat similar to like how Derby is. It was almost like a plus sign. So different like you would go down different streets depending on what corral you were on, and then every fork that you would like go on a different street, they had probably a good 20 to 30 porta potties on
Okay.
at each side. So it there was a fair amount. And
Yeah,
then they also had the stadium was open before the run, so you could go in there and use indoor
Oh,
bathrooms as well.
okay. Well, that I mean, yeah, and that having that, I remember Marshall University marathon, half marathon. They have full flush toilets. Smaller race, smaller university, smaller stadium, but I'd imagine, yeah, it's nice to have that regular comfort rather than the feel and smells and whatnot of a porta potty. Those are never fun, but they are a just a way of life for racing. So the race starts at the stadium and it runs through town. I Does it run through town or does it run through campus? Take me through the first, the first 5-10 miles or so.
I can only speak for the half, but you run along the stadium. Their campus, at least part I saw, was all pretty enclosed. I don't remember seeing a lot of even roads through the campus. So you don't really run through the campus per se. You kind of run along it, and then you're out in the town. And then at about mile 10 or so of the half, you split from the full and you cross a little bridge. There's a river that runs through Eugene. I think it is the Willamette River. I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure.
Willamette.
Same one that goes through Portland, but it's a lot smaller in Eugene. But you cross over that and you kind of go through a park area and cross back over the river. And then you finish on the edge of campus there. And you actually finish on the track in the stadium.
And then for the marathon,
The only bummer of the half, I don't know if the full did this or not, is you run past the stadium before the finish. So you like pass it up and you're like, it's right there. But then you got to go down to a little small loop and then you come back into the stadium on the other side and actually finish doing I think it's a half a lap or so on the actual track. and you finish in the stadium.
Oh, okay, that's pretty neat. And then also run, especially near the end of the course, being able to run on the softness of the track. That'd be
Yeah, and as being the one of the few people in our group that did the half, it was nice because you can sit in there in the stadium seats and watch everyone else come finish, a little bit later. So, especially when you have a friend you're there for him. It was nice. We all got to hang out there in the crowd and kind of cheer him as he came into the stadium.
oh, okay, that's pretty nice. That's really nice, especially because he got like a hero's welcome or so, you'd
Yeah.
say. And
And
then
better than a lot of races, they weren't real big on rushing you off the finish line either. Like a lot of people kind of hanging out down on the track after for a while. Whereas, I'm sure you've been to races where you finish and you kind of standing there with your water bottle and like, get out of the crowd, get out of the chute. And you're like, sorry, okay, I'm on my way.
yeah, there's a couple of them. Yeah, it feels like you're almost about to get arrested or something. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. I just finished running. Like, let me stop my watch.
Yeah, the Chicago half was real bad about that.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, that was the one that was on the south side of town near the museum.
Yeah, finishes by
Yes.
Science Industry.
Okay. Well, I just want to be clear because we're also going to be. I want to be speaking about the 13-1. We have an episode for the Chicago half 13-1, which is in June, which takes place at Garfield Park,
Yeah,
which
that's
is
the north side one.
yeah, it's a little bit different. Um, I just don't want to speak of the Chicago half and get the Chicago halves confused for listeners. So okay, so the half splits off from the full. You say around mile 10 or so, roughly, for
Yep.
that.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there, yeah. It's pretty close to the end of the half.
Okay, and then Jill, go ahead and take us on the marathon course.
So then we continued. We crossed over the river, and then we ended up like running just alongside the river for a while, and then it probably went out a good like 4 miles out, and then when we crossed back over the river, we went through Springfield, Oregon, which they had like every wall in town painted with Simpsons characters. So it was really cool because they had like little captions with them and everything. So it definitely, at mile like 18 of a marathon to just have something to look at and take your mind off of things was great. But then we headed back down the riverfront. So like both sides of the river had really nice paths to go down, some rolling hills, um, good scenery, nothing crazy or anything like that. But then we kind of rejoined in with the half marathoners, which, then you become congested with the back of the packer half marathoners that are walking. So then you kind of got to do a little bob and weaving to get through. But then we also then same thing. We finish out on the track, which is cool. So
Now, does a half and full start to do you start at the same time?
I think we
yes,
did.
we
Yeah.
did. We did.
Okay. Well, I'm thinking such as Seven Bridges in Chattanooga, Tennessee. The Seven Bridges is the full, and you start, I believe, 30 minutes before Four Bridges, which is the half. So the half and the full don't start together. However, Indianapolis Monumental, the half and the full, or Derby, and most races, I would say, the half and full starts together. That we'll have to look into that deeper for the half marathoners on their ability to have a closed course or protection or aid if for the back of the pack for the 4 hour, 3.5, 4 hour half marathoners.
Yeah, and the half had a 7 hour time limit for it.
Oh, sweet.
Did I say the half? The full. The full had
Oh.
a 7 hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, depending on the course, I remember a friend of ours when we ran Monumental together in Indianapolis. I informed him. I said, as long as you can make it to uh, almost mile 11 of the half course, at that point you're rejoined with the full course, and you will once again have a closed course, and you'll have aid stations that are supported. And because I happen to know that course layout.
Yeah, I just pulled it up and it says that the half time limit is a 3.5 hour. So that's a 16-minute per mile. But so they'll pull you off the road to be on like sidewalks and whatnot. But the finish line obviously is open for 7 hours. So it's kind of self supported. But then we like came back together at mile like 11 of the half. So from there on, you would have had core support. But
Okay, that is nice to have there. That is nice to have. So you're going through. What are the aid stations? So I assume with a race this size that the aid stations would be well manned and they'd be well stocked and plenty of volunteers out there. But I might be wrong. Who knows? What are the aid stations like?
they were probably every 2.5 miles at the start.
They were pretty consistent.
And then it turned into like every maybe mile and a half once we got into like mile 14. And
Okay.
then they did have elite runners. So they had their own elite stations that were set up and everything. I don't recall them having fuel on the course, though. It was just water or Gatorade.
Oh
No, I
wow.
think they did give something out. I think it was goo packets or some
Was it
sort of
Goo
a
or was it
gel.
Hammer?
And yeah, they water and the Gatorade or the pie. I think it was, yeah, I guess it was Gatorade.
It was Gatorade.
It was nice because they basically had like 4 sets of tables. They had like a set of water tables and then a little bit of a gap, then another set of water tables and a little bit of a gap, and then same thing with the hydration drink like the Gatorade or whatever. I don't think everyone did not have nutrition for sure. I believe there was some
There
nutrition
was.
on the
There was.
course.
I believe it was Hammer Gel.
Okay. I've had Hemorgel a few times. I think that one's a little bit soft. I would classify it as softer, a little bit more malleable than the goo. The goo to me is it's thicker normally, and my body reacts well with it on half marathons, fairly well as long as the temperatures are within the normal range that I've been training in. However, full marathons, for me personally, goo doesn't work. So just get out there and try different gels, different nutrition. If you need to bring your own nutrition, I normally do bring my own nutrition just to, even if it's a course I know what is going to be available and it's something my body agrees with, I still pack a few of my own that way in case they run out, in case they have a flavor I don't like. Normally it's a very run of the mill flavor like strawberry vanilla or maybe like maybe an orange, but they're not going to have salt. They typically want to have like a salted watermelon or blackberry they might have those flavors available, just not at the race.
Mhm.
So
So we did double check. It was goo at this race actually, and they had some bananas a couple times. But
And yeah, they had it at mile 8, 20, and 25 for Goo.
okay, now how was the course support that's not officially part of the race? Running through the neighborhoods and such, but also with the marathon, you're running along the riverfront. The riverfront, I wouldn't imagine, has a lot of houses nearby, say you would like Chicago and such. How was the community support for that race?
It was definitely better on the first half of the race. And
yes,
then it was a little lonely until we got out to Springfield. Springfield had a lot of either people drove out there to cheer on participants or people came out. There were a couple church choirs that were out and some school groups with like their marching band and whatnot, cheerleaders out on the course. But other than that, like on that out marathon portion, it was way less supported.
yeah. Once you crossed the river, it was kind of like a nature preserve park kind of thing you were running through for a lot of it. So there wasn't even like, Chicago. It's like a park where there's paths and stuff people would do. This is more just like open, like a kind of a prairie kind of thing with a path through it. So there was not much over there at all. But in the neighborhood, it was pretty good. There was one kind of part in the beginning that was a little sparse because you kind of went through like a commercial industrial type area. But even there were some people on the side of the road, and that's I think where one of the times they had like the high school cheerleaders out or whatever.
Oh, okay. That kind of it's kind of nice to have the silly signs and the Mario power up buttons and
Oh,
Yeah.
there was a lot of that. And then it was Oregon, so there was a few, people not like blocking the race, people with their, protest type signs out, but nothing outrageous. They like I said, they weren't trying to block the course or influence the race any. They were just out there with their getting their
Informative
yeah.
information.
Hey, that's allowed. You're as long as please don't block the course. But if you want to stand to the side and put out your information, hey, that's
Yep.
yep, we're okay. Yep, that's okay. So we're going in. You're coming in and you run past the stadium or you run back into the stadium and you do I assume like 300 meters or so, about three quarters of the way around the track, or no, or
Yeah, maybe it was about half, so probably about 200 meters or so.
oh, okay,
You kind of came in on one corner. You did like most of the one turn of straightaway, and the finish line was like not even all the way through the other straight or other turn.
okay. And then the field area is open to mingling around, I assume, or
The field, I can't think of.
The field wasn't. They had the practice field out of the stadium.
There was a practice field outside, but like past the finish line, it was the whole wide track. You could kind of mill around past the finish line because that's you went out, and then there was like a tunnel underneath the stands. That's how you got out. You could kind of mill around before you went outside if you wanted to, and they didn't hassle you too much.
okay. What is the area like? Is there a lot of food available, a lot of snacks, some bananas,
So
water?
yeah, they gave you a really nice when you walked out. They gave you like I think it was a backpack maybe,
It was a tote bag with like the Eugene map, like the marathon map on it,
and that had a banana and some other
and a
stuff in it,
bagel.
and a bagel,
And then they actually gave you like sports water bottles.
like a bike water bottle, which is nice.
Hmm.
The 5K the day before, they gave you like a kind of a cheesier one. It's nice, but it wasn't like somebody put like take on a bike ride. The one the second day was, and they filled them up for you, which was cool. But it was like a legit, specialized or whatever water bottle you would get, at a bike shop instead it said Eugene Marathon on it. And then they had, you got beer tickets on your thing. So they had that up there. They had a big pancake griddle section thing going. You could go get pancakes.
Then there was a coffee truck.
Coffee truck. I don't remember if there's any other food trucks around. But yeah, I mean, they had all that stuff there.
And then yeah, in like the finish line, like family reunion section on like their practice field, that's where they had their leftover merchandise, charity groups, kind of other like, hey, sign up for next year's race, those kind of things. So
Oh, okay.
It was fairly chilly, so a lot of people weren't hanging around unless they were waiting for people.
That's that's a unfortunate. I mean, but that's the contract we signed with outdoor racing is that the weather is going to be what the weather's going to be.
Yeah, it was great weather for the running part. It was just once you started sitting around, it got pretty chilly. But the gear, like if you had a gear bag, that was right there by the stadium, so you could actually run and grab that and have time to get back inside and sit and wait for your people or whatever you're going to do.
Okay, we're going to. I remember one hint, one little tidbit of information or tip or whatever. I got this from Janelle, is to put your recovery sandals in your drop bag, and then also, unless your drop bag is a drawstring backpack already, shove a drawstring backpack in your drop bag, and then get your drop bag, pick it up, move to the side, and then put everything inside your drawstring backpack. That way, your hands are free when you walk around the post race area or back to your car, and that has been a game changer for me since she taught me that little tidbit.
And it was a draw. It was just like a plastic bag, but it was like a drawstring style or backpack style gear bag.
Oh, okay. So, so the what was the medal? What was the medal itself like? I don't know if I caught that part.
so the medal was actually awesome. So I don't know if you know the background with Hayward Field and Prefontaine and Nike. So actually, Nike started there, and Prefontaine, who held like every short distance, like race time or whatnot, like he started on that field. They tore the stadium down to rebuild this massive new one to hold the like the Olympic trials there. So they actually, the medal contains a wood piece from the original stadium.
Oh,
So
that's pretty neat. That's really
yeah.
neat. Now, okay, so on race day for the half and full, there's that event, and then you were speaking of the 5K the day before. Is there a challenge? Because us runners, we're pretty dumb and we're good for a gimmick. Uh,
Yep.
is there is there an official challenge or?
There is. There's, yeah, the Krusty's double stack challenge. And in the 5K, they also have a challenge that if you can beat the Krusty's pancake runner, you get free Krusty's pancake mix for a year.
What? Wait a minute.
So, I mean, that guy was super fast in a
Okay.
pancake costume, but yeah. So
I
you got a bonus medal for that.
Yeah, you could either it was either if you did a half or a full and a 5K, you got it. It wasn't like you had to do the full and the 5K or whatever. You could do the half and the 5K, and you got it too. So I know a lot of them, if there's a full and a half, like you have to do the full for their whatever their challenge is. A lot of times, so that was kind of cool.
oh, okay. I remember there's a gentleman. He's out of Japan, I believe. He won the Boston Marathon some years back. One of the years when it was I think it was the same year that Des Linden won the Boston,
Boston.
and he he set the record for the fastest half marathon in a panda costume. So, and he finished second overall as well in that half marathon. I mean, so he's a fast runner. So when you spoke of the Krusty's runner in a costume, it's like, well, did they get somebody from the University of Oregon, one of their
Yeah.
cross country runners?
I think they had a boy and a girl pancake.
Yeah,
Remember
they
right?
did.
That's pretty nice. I'll have to definitely look up that challenge when I go out that direction. So so after the race, uh, you all went back. How well? I assume you celebrate with your friend Eugene, who ran his 50th state. What? How did you all celebrate the race, though?
So that was kind of the when you bring up that brewery, that was kind of the deal. Obviously, we all went back. We had a long walk back home, but we were celebrating for a while in the stadium after that. But we got back, and that Ninkasi Brewing, I guess they have their brew pub, and then they have like an event space that they somehow got taken over. And we went up there, and we bought a bunch of food ourselves, and they obviously had the beer there, and it was like on the rooftop of their space, it's like an indoor outdoor space. So we hung out there for what 2 hours? I think we were up
Yeah.
there, and that was a really good time. You can it's a little bit on the edge of the town, but like you can see, up high. The sun had come out and it warmed up, so it was like a really nice afternoon after the chilly morning. So
Okay, that's always nice. It's nice to be able to warm back up, or if you have a if sometimes you're able to save your throwaway clothes somehow, depending on the size of the race. And I've went back and picked up my throwaway clothes and put them back on after a race.
the pre-race, you lucked out. There was like an like event on the side of the stadium, I guess, from their boiler or their whatever, and you could stand there and had some warm air coming out of it. So we kind of hung out there before the race to stay warm. So.
Okay. So, okay, so I have to ask, what shoes did you run in? Or what shoe, just in general, away from this race, but in your general training or other racing in general, what shoes do you run in?
I usually wear ultras. I've tried. Now I've been using their newer ones. I think they're called the Forward. They have a little bit of a drop in them because obviously Ultra's whole thing originally was the big white toe box and then zero drop. But I had my one Achilles was getting kind of sore, so I've tried these with like the little bit of the drop in them, and that helped. So that's what I did the race in. And if I run in, I don't have special race shoes. I just kind of run whatever shoes I'm running at the time.
Okay.
And for me, I race in Brooks. And for this, since I was just pacing, and I wasn't like anticipating going into the 5K like guns a blazing or anything like that, I just had Ghost 17s, I believe is what I had. And that, but normally I would race in Hyperion tempos or Hyperion maxes.
Okay. And the reason I asked that, Well, I'm gonna ask that, and I'm gonna ask, and Jill, I've mentioned you in other episodes. What watch do you wear?
Oh,
Uh,
Well, I mean, if you're asking about bedazzlement, because I have to bedazzle everything, yes, that's bedazzled. But I have a Garmin 910 XT, which is probably a good 12 to 13 years old. I still have to connect it with an ant stick to transfer my runs to. Um, I can't download like a course map onto it or anything like that, but it serves its purpose and I know how to use it. So, yeah.
and then Dan, what do you, is that a 6X I see? No, that's a 7.
no, this is the Phoenix 7 Solar. So I like it. I do like the ability to download the courses. I actually, that's just because I'm lazy. I like the fact that once you're done, you save your activity. It goes right through your phone to your, your Garmin Connect and your Strava and all that. You don't have to plug it in. Um, it does update with the older one. Like, well, she actually, her watch is my old watch. I was doing triathlons 10 years ago. So, but uh, yeah, I like the functionality of this, and plus I hike and do a lot of other things, so it comes in handy with that, with base maps and all that kind of stuff on it.
But
Okay.
there's no room to bedazzle it.
There is not. For those that whenever you join us later on, anybody listening in, if you ever see Jill at a race, you will typically see her in some form of costume, some form of dress that's a little bit unique for that particular race. Uh, she's dressed her and her Dan and Lucas. They have they've ran Disney Marathon dressed as hotel operator. Help me out. What? I know it's
Our
hotel.
there,
Tower of Terror.
Okay.
bell hops, and yeah, so she's the costume person. I just wear whatever she gives me to wear. We've been all kinds of stuff. So
Yes, and I think Yvonne would definitely love if I let you know you have a nice hat.
Yes. Yep.
Jill and
Quite
I,
a few nice hats.
Jill and I have paced together uh, several times, and um, there's just I'm trying to avoid too many inside jokes or any inside jokes. I threw one or two in there. I do know, but it's just um, it it's an interesting thing, and she does bring her flair to the race, which is it's a joy. But the one thing that I try to get at with the shoes and with the watch is that Dan runs fast and Jill runs well relatively. I mean, hey, he's faster than me, but he's slower than Meb. So like he's in between me and Meb. So, which I mean, Meb
So am I.
Kopletsky, he's slower than you.
No, I'm saying I'm between you and
Oh,
Meb.
yes, yes.
So, yeah.
I think like 98% of America is between me and Meb. Meb Kopletsky, he is an Olympic runner from. He lives in America now. I forget his home country, but either way, he is really fast, and I'm having a good time. I'm bringing in the back of the pack. We're having fun. But a lot of people ask, and I've been right beside Jill when people have asked her, and I'm sure that people will ask us, "What shoes do you run in?" And to be honest, or frank, or Kurt, or Miguel, I run into shoes that fit my feet. And for me, I run in Mizuno Horizon Waves or Wave Horizon. I forget the order. I run in Asics Glycerin Y. Oh, Brooks Adrenaline GTS, Asics Glycerin Wide, Hoka Gaviota 5. I think is the I've ran in the fours and the five. New Balance 1340 V2s and V3s, I believe. I've ran all those and all those shoes, and I've not necessarily. And then I've ran a total of 3 miles in Nike, just because I wear motion control, and the shoes I was able to get from Nike They were supposed to be motion control, but either way, my ankles and knees did not agree with them, and they were painful for me. But at the same time, if you listen to Air Force Marathon episode with Peter, he runs in Nike. I don't run in Nike. Dan runs in Ultras. She's coming in with Brooks. We run in the shoes that fit our feet and fit our needs. So don't focus too much on what somebody else wears. Focus on go to your local running store, talk to somebody who's knowledgeable, and they can help direct you in that. In my in the episode where we talk about the Heartland series with Heather and Brandon, Brandon runs uh, with his phone. That's his tracking device. That's his timing device. And his 5K time and 10K time is faster than mine. His 7K time as well, which I've never officially ran a 7K, so he's automatically faster. However, if I tried, he'd still beat me. Um, so the thing is that your watch is not going to make you faster. Your your shoes are not going to make you faster. There's not necessarily anything that you're going to buy that's going to make you all of a sudden a Boston qualifying runner. The Now I do run with a map on my watch. That's the perk of my. I have a 965 now. I did have the Phoenix 6X, and being able to see how far you have to the finish line, or seeing if you have any more hills coming up. That is a nice little feature. And Dan spoke of that, and also if you do other activities such as hiking or cycling, mountain biking, what have you, it's also nice to have those features there. Um, just I just like to remind everybody to that 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 don't think you need to buy things to make you faster because it's not going to be the difference maker. Um, with that, would you, Dan, would you run this race again? Now, I know for you, travel aside because that the flights and everything else is a as a factor. But outside of that, if it wasn't for the travel time and cost, would you run this race again?
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, if I was going to do another full, and that was like someone's like, "Hey, we're doing this," I would probably think about that because the Springfield thing, I heard like that seemed like a kind of a cool aspect of it, and seeing all that. The town itself is really cool. I know you said the travel's different, but um, I'm sure I know you're kind of into this, and for me, especially not really being a quote unquote runner, uh, like that's half the interest in a lot of these races and these events is going to these places. So to kind of get into the travel part of it, like we flew into Portland and spent a couple days there, and then drove down to Eugene, which I think was like an hour and a half ish or so. And then after the race, we spent 2 days, I guess, going up the coast back up to Portland. So uh, just in that sense, just kind of what all's around it, and we only kind of touched the surface of some of that. So even for that aspect, I'd like to go back. But just the event itself was very well run. The town itself was cool. Just for that reason, it would be like if you're going to do a race twice, that it'd be a race I would do again.
Jill, I assume you're in the similar. I shouldn't automatically throw you in the same boat, but are you?
Yeah, no, I thought that it was yeah, a really just well run race in a town that has such strong track history that it's you're running on the same field as Olympians. And that, that's just a cool feat, and how many people actually get to do that.
Yeah, that is very unique because especially being on the track itself and being in a stadium that size that's dedicated to track is very not the norm for
And they
us.
like, yeah, when you run back into the track or into the field house as well, I mean, all the lights are on. They have the announcer announcing all your names and everything else. You're on the Jumbotron. So
Oh gosh,
you're really hyped up coming into that stadium.
that'd be really nice. That'd be really motivating to come in, and it'd be kind of hard to keep doing my run walk run intervals
Yeah.
once that types of energy hits you. It's like, oh, the heck with the intervals. We're just running this one in. Okay, that seems awesome. Um, is there anything that either of you would like to add? Any words of encouragement? Anything in general?
Um, I mean, yeah, I guess kind of I was just talking about like with any of these races, like I think a big, like I said, maybe not because I'm not so focused on the race itself or even the running part of it. Not that most people are. That's kind of I think the joy of the one perk of running as opposed to cycling and some of the other sports is 80%, maybe even more. The people there aren't necessarily there to be competitive other than with themselves. So you can kind of enjoy the experience. And yeah, just any of these events. I think that's make if you're going to, especially if you're going to a place, take time to actually enjoy the place. I mean, more than just the race. Because I would say if you're going fast, almost you don't enjoy the race for what it's worth, anyways, because you're so focused on that. Um, but you know, all the places we've gone in any of these runs, like Tulsa, Little Rock, uh, just off the top of my head, those places like you would never think in a million years to go to someplace like that. And like, why'd I ever go to Little Rock? Why'd I ever go to Tulsa? And you get there and you realize like there's cool stuff in all these towns and all these places, and kind of experience that is for me the most kind of the funnest part of the whole thing, the running or whatever sort of ancillary to all that.
Jill,
And
do
the
you
other
have
thing,
anything?
oh, sorry, one
Oh,
last
I'm
thing I was
sorry.
gonna say. I was kind of thinking about this is, for anybody out there who's into any of this stuff, don't forget about the races, in your own town. I know some of us are from smaller cities where we don't have events or whatever, but I see this a lot where people want to go do, Boston, or they want to go do New York or Chicago and all this stuff. And you'd be like, hey, what about, this race next weekend in St. Louis or wherever you live at? And they're like, well, yeah, why do I want to do that? It's here. It's like, well, because if you build those things up, they become the next, or possibly can become the next, race where you have 20,000 people there, and uh, you know, kind of invite you to be a tourist in your own town sometimes, and find that those things in your town that you have fun doing in these other towns. I think that can kind of bring some joy to your day to day life as opposed to making everything a big adventure.
Yeah, and to add on to that a little bit, it's also, everybody has like their pre-race prep of like, if you're really big on like racecations where you travel all over trying to get 50 states, whatever it is, you want to go to something that's familiar. So sometimes people do go to those their chain restaurants because they know, hey, this is going to work with my system. But post race, everything like that, like find some local business that you can support in all these towns just because that's a big part of it, and then ask the locals where are the good places to go because you can find so much cool information just by asking. And then kind of to piggyback on your point of like, everybody runs in different shoes, your equipment doesn't really matter. I coach for our local run store, and my big thing whenever we have our participant orientation is you only really need two things to run. One is a decent pair of shoes that are going to fit your body and that you should get from a local running store. And second is a positive attitude, because at the end of the day, your race is your own race, and you mentally can, like, you physically, your body is able to do it. It's your mental state that takes over and kind of creeps in to say, hey, you need to slow down, or you can't do this, but really everybody can. So just get into that positive mental state. And the distance, yes, Dan is much faster than I am, but that 13.1 miles or 26.2 miles, it's the same distance. I just have a bigger cheering squad when I get to that finish line than he does.
Yes, and that's exactly it. A marathon is 26 miles, 385 yards plus 20 feet, and it if it takes you 4 hours to do it, 3 hours to do it, 6 hours to do it, 8 hours to do it, it it really doesn't it doesn't matter at the end of the day. You get that medal on your neck, and as you go around town, almost nobody really asks how fast you did it in. They just give you a high five, and you just rock with it. I remember when I was in the Colfax Marathon, I fell behind the sweep, and we were at an intersection, and somebody was congratulating us on doing the Colfax Marathon. And it's like, oh, da da da, congratulations. And we're like, yeah, we're still running it. we're st- we're still in it. but but we finished, and we were able to get our medal. The finish line was open longer than the sweep was open, and yeah, it was just a fabulous time, and it was a great experience.
And your medal's no different than the person that came in 3 hours faster than you. It's all the same.
Yeah, even the winner gets the same medal we get.
Yep.
Sometimes they get a check. It might be $100. It might be more depending on where you're at. Um, but yeah, they don't even get as far as I know. I mean, I've never gotten one myself. But seeing the pictures from the elites, I've seen their photos. Yeah, so just get out there and do these things and experience these towns. So, with me, I just want to thank both of you all for sitting down with me and speaking about the Eugene Marathon in Eugene, Oregon, the marathon, half marathon, crusty challenge, crusty double stack, which I now learned of, and now I want to do. Really do appreciate this. Look forward to seeing you all and running with you all again soon. And for myself, I would just like to say, run the race you're in, and forward is a pace.